What's up, everyone? Welcome back to poker vlog number 4. We're back at 52 Social Poker for another 1-3 match the stack session. Let's get into it. Alright, so in this first hand we have Queen Jack off in the cutoff. I open for $10, the button and the big blind call. The flop comes King of Spades, 7 of Spades, 5 of Clubs. It checks around to us and I c-bet for $25 and both players fold. This table was just formed, so there's only 4 handed right now. And it's a lot of aggressiveness and taking down pots pre-flop and on a c-bet, so unless people get hands there isn't much action, but the table soon does fill up, so we're playing 7-handed after this. Alright, in this next hand we are in the cutoff with Ace Jack off. The under the gun and the under the gun +1 limp to us and we make it 18. The small blind and the under the gun +1, all 3 of them call, and we go to a flop of 10, Jack, 8 with 2 diamonds and a spade. It checks to the under the gun +1 who actually donk bets $20, and in this spot I could probably raise to get worse hands out that aren't going to be calling and charge draws. Maybe I get calls from King Jack, Queen Jack and charge diamond draws, and I think I'll have a better idea of where I'm at if I do raise, but I like to call and not bloat the pot and see who else can come in behind with such a top pair, top kicker hand. So I do call and the small blind calls behind us. The turn brings a 3 of spades, and when it checks to the under gun +1, he leads again for $45. I'm not liking this spot anymore because I think I'm just beat, but with such a strong hand, I think it's just exploitable if we fold, so I do elect to call and the small blind also calls behind us. This is pretty worrying because now it's more likely that we're not just beat by the donk leader but also by the small blind. The river brings the 7 of clubs, which now brings in 4 to straight, so any 9x is beating us. When it checks the under the gun +1 again, he bets $35, and I think I can save $35 here, but for the price of 35 into 270, I think we have to call with top pair, top kicker. I don't think a 9x is here, but we pay to see what he has. The small blind also calls, and the under the gun +1 shows Jack 10 for the flop 2 pair, and the small blind shows just a random Jack. So like I said, I think we can find a fold here, but I'd rather pay to see what he has for future information. In this next hand, we're given pocket jacks and the high jack. We open for $15 and the cutoff and the button call. Flop comes super favorable, Jack 8-8, so we flop a boat. I continue small for $15 and the cutoff calls and the button folds, so heads up. Comes the 8 on the turn. We continue betting for $25 just to continue charging any overcards, and maybe he just doesn't believe us and the cutoff does in fact call. The river brings a pretty good card. It's the Queen of Hearts, so flushes get there, which we beat. If he has a case Jack, that's good for us, so we're going to bet $100 into $129 to charge for those specific hands. If he has a quad 8, he's just going to raise us, so we want to get the max for what we have, and if he has a flush or a jack, he can call us, but sadly he folds. I don't have the footage for this hand, but I was in the small blind with Jack 10 off. The under the gun +1 limps. The under the gun +2 makes it 13. Myself, the big blind, and the +1 end up calling, so we go 4 ways to flop, which comes Queen 9-5. For missing a flop, this is pretty good for us. We're open-ended, so we have a pretty disguised hand if we hit. It checks around to the under gun +2, who makes it 30. I call the big blind and the under the gun +1 fold. So heads up to a turn, which is a 3. I check it to the undergun +2, who makes it 55, and 55 into 116. I think I can call and get paid off on a river if we hit. So we end up calling, and the river is an 8. So bingo, we hit our straight. I lead for $100, and the undergun +2 doesn't like it, but he tank calls, and our straight is good, and we get paid off. In this next hand, we wake up with pocket kings, or known as the cowboys. We are on the button with them, and the +2, the cutoff limp, we make it 18. Small blind, big blind, and the +2 fold, and the cutoff call. So we go heads up with the cutoff to a flop of queen, 6, 9, 2 diamonds, and a heart. The cutoff checks to us. We bet small $15 into 43, and the cutoff calls. So hopefully he has a queen now. The turn is the king of diamonds, so the flush draw gets there. Even though we hit our set, this is a pretty ugly card because Jack 10 gets there and other diamond draws get there. So although we hit our set, we're probably behind to a lot of the hands that the cutoff called with on the flop. So the cutoff actually leads for $5, and I'm definitely not raising here. That's such a suspicious value bet by an OMC as well. So I just called a $5 into 73, hoping to hit the boat on the river. The river brings a 4 of spades, so we do not hit our boat, sadly. And when he bets $50 into us, we have to call with the top set. Otherwise, we're just exploitable in the long run to bluffs. So we call, and I ask if he has a flush, and he shakes his head and shows queen 10 of diamonds. So kings does not work out for us, and we move on to the next hand. In these next 2 hands, we're going to be bluffing. We are in the button straddle with king 10 off, the small blind, big blind, cutoff, limp, and myself on the button. I check it with king 10 off. I don't want to get too out of line here. The board comes deuce, deuce, queen. And it checks around to us, and I think being on the straddle with a checked hand, we have more deuces than anyone, and we can represent a queen fairly well. So I donk bet with $15, and the small blind and the cutoff call. The turn brings a 5, and it checks around again to us. So I size up really big just to try to take it down, $75 into the 69, and the small blind actually calls, and the cutoff folds. So I'm just going to shut down at this point and just let him take it down. The river brings a 5, and he tank bets 150, and I think the small blind has a lot more deuces than we do at this point, so it was fun while it lasted, but we decided to fold instead of getting too crazy and re-raising that river bet. So he takes it down on this one, and our bluff does not work. Alright, in this next hand, we're under the gun with Jack 9 suited clubs. I open for $18, the +2 calls, and the small blind, big blind folds. So we're going heads up. The flop comes king 10 X. I think it was like an 8. I remember it was 2 spades and a diamond. And with the gut shot, I can continue betting here for $20, and the under the gun +2 does in fact call. The turn brings an ace, which is a really good card for us, because if he called with a king, we could credibly be representing a c-bet ace here. So I make a very small value bet of $25 into 80, and he sighs like he's not really happy about that turn card, and he ends up folding, so our bluff works.
Raise.
So I don't have footage for these next 2 hands because I was in call. But we wake up with ace-jack off in the undergun +1, so we open for $20. The hijack calls us, and the small blind and big blind fold, so we go heads up to a flop of ace, 10, 8, 2 hearts, and a diamond. We are going to continue c-betting this flop 100% of the time, $15. And the hijack, weirdly enough, raises us to $40, so this feels like a pretty strong ace here. Maybe aces up, ace 8, ace 10, ace king, ace queen. Maybe a set, but more likely some type of ace-x holding. So I think we just have to call here and reevaluate on the turn. We call, and the turn actually is gin for us. We hit the jack, so we are now aces up. It does bring in the 3rd heart for the flush draw, but I don't think we're too worried about that if he was raising us on the flop. I don't think he'd be raising us if he had that flush draw and he would like to get there cheaply as possible. So I think we have the best hand here, and we're going to try to charge the other ace 10, ace 8, or ace king, ace queen hand. So we bet $50 into 124, and he ends up making the call. On the river four spades blank, I think we can still get paid by those weaker hands if we size to around 50% or around there. So I bet $100, and he doesn't like it, but he snap calls, and he shows ace king, and our ace jack 2 pair is good. In this next hand, we still don't have footage, but we're on the button with a7 off. The under the gun makes it $15. The +2, cutoff, myself, and the big blind call. So we go 5 ways to a flop of ace-7-5. We flop aces up, which is perfect for us. It checks around to us, weirdly enough, and we're gonna bet here $45 into 76, trying to charge other strong aces or straight draws. The cutoff does in fact call, so we go heads up to a turn of a6, and it checks us again. We are going to bet $50. We don't want to get beat out by some other straight, so this is basically a blocker bet, and also charging other strong ace-x hands. And the cutoff does in fact call. The river is a 6, and the cutoff bet's $50. So when he donk leads here, I don't want to raise, because if I raise and then he 3-bets us, we're just in a really terrible spot. And although I think we can get charged, we can charge max value for ace king, ace queen, thinking that they're chopping with us or have us beat now with other ace-x holdings. I don't want to get bullied off the pot, so I elect to just call here the $50 into 266. And the cutoff, weirdly enough, shows pocket kings. So I don't think we're getting paid with a raise here regardless, but there might have been merit to a raise, and this line was so weird with pocket kings that I don't know what else we could have done differently, and I think we got the max here. So yeah, that was a weird hand.
Alright, so we just finished our 1-3 session at 52 session. Well, we didn't just finish, we actually dealt. They needed dealers, they were short-handed, so we dealt for them from what, 1 to 6 now, so 5 hours of dealing. We were in the game for 1,000, and we cashed out of the game for 1,138. So we got a profit of 138, and then we dealt and made some decent tips. Yeah, $138 profit for around 2 hours session. Yeah, good day.